Thank you, Dirk. I don't know if you can see my presentation. Well, thank you first of all, thank you for inviting me. And we had a bit of a chat before this session, and Dirk wanted me to reflect a little bit on how do I see the evolving role of destination management. And I believe we are living challenging times, and I personally see that there are challenges also to destination management, which in the end of the day will be the role of observatories and the teams from research. So when I look at this, well, these are two, I would say, known, but are two of my closest friends in the last 8 months, which is basically look every day for the data from World Health Organization, so to understand where how this is evolving in terms of pandemics, and also looking at demand internationally. And here's the data from the dashboard of UNWTO. So basically, this is being our role, and we see we see COVID-19 as an accelerator of change, in change of a lot of things within our industry. First of all, 10 months ago, we were discussing this, and we were getting this, and this was basically I would say, two of the most important topics that we've been addressing in tourism policies and at destination management. How do we continue to grow, but grow better, and balance the relationship with locals and with the residents? And this was actually, in our case in Portugal, one of the reasons for creating observatories was basically looking at the impacts that we were having in cities and with residents. So it was I would say, a red sign for us. But now things are changing, and this being temporarily closed for a long period of time is bringing new challenges, and it's changing also the rules of destination management. And I'm using this picture to illustrate a little bit what I feel about this. This is Times Square, empty, with no businesses, and with people left behind in the middle of it. So basically what's happening now with our industry is this lockdown as having a massive effect in terms of the business operations of our sector. And we're talking about seriously being at risk of survival in terms of several of our branches of activities within our sector. A lot of people also being affected at jobs level and that, and with all this transformation that is going on. So it's something that specifically we believe that at national level, but also at local level, this will be the next 2 to 3 years in some cases. So perhaps our angle of work will evolve also. Also, this was a time of change in terms of adding new sources of data and new worries about us in terms of the work that we do. All the sector, or I would say a large number of companies of the sector, moved to digital, using digital menus and information, but also using chatbots. But also, and on the right side, you see an app that we use this year for our beaches, where you can monitor daily, not also the temperature or the quality of the water, but at the same time, the level of congestion that the beach had. So for us to be, I would say, safe in terms of dealing. So digital will bring a new sort of data that we have to deal with at destination management. And from my point of view, this changed completely. Destinations will be less and less destination marketing organizations, and we'll finally move into one thing that we've always, and I remember to have written publications from UNWTO regarding destination management. I also found that concept very interesting, but less developed and implemented at destination level. Now it's needed. I would say the only way of getting out of this is to rebuild, because we moved basically from certain and defined KPIs for ages. We've been looking at, and congrats to all the guys that presented previously, we've been looking a lot on satisfaction, first on visitors, but now also on residents. We've been monitoring growth of demand and their impacts, but growth, this is a scenery. We've been looking a lot in pushing for marketing activities. So how do I promote better? How do I engage better? How do I add new attractions to my system? A lot also focused on generating revenues for the sector and measuring those impacts and spending and so on. And also a lot of focus on the offer that we have in place and we want to develop. From my point of view, what COVID-19 will bring to our destination management is four more angles. The first one is, for the first time, I would say, since I remember, that's my point, we're talking about business recovery, because in some traditional destinations, we can get to minus 80% this year. In normal, we can get 50 to 60% minus this year. So the work that we have to put on the table is working on business recovery. And by business recovery is not thinking only on hoteliers, but think about all value chain. The second point is helping destinations and their companies to move towards sustainability. So having sustainability as their core element for long-term strategy, but dealing also with short-term challenges, which are safety and a lot of worries that in protocols that we have to put in place. Third point is measure the effectiveness of investment policies that we have putting in place, both at national and at regional level. So a lot of money will enter into the destinations, and we need to understand and we need to monitor the impact of those investments. And also adding to that investment, I would say a job on advisory to companies. How do they have to deal with it through the next times? And finally, one thing that we are totally focused here in Portugal, which is people. How can I, within this environment, have to care about people? First of all, how do I get all the workforce and maintain the workforce, because they are the most, I would say, important competitive element of our strategies. But also at the same time, how do I help within this period where digital transformation was accelerated? How do I help these people to maintain their relevance in the future industry where digital will come in the future? Well, what's the implications for areas of research and knowledge like we are talking about here? Well, I would say our basic role doesn't change. It's providing the right data at the right time to the right people so they can make the right decisions. This is, I would say, something that I always remind my team. What changes is basically the right data. Because what companies and what destinations, what politicians are needing today is a completely different kind of data that we used to be. So basically what we are trying to do, and we are learning, this is a learning process in Portugal, we are monitoring every day business recovery. And by business recovery for a destination like Portugal, air capacity is tremendously important. So basically we are monitoring how searches evolve, and just give you an overview of this searches. This is searches from the UK to Portugal. And this was the date where travel corridor was became green. So travel searches grew significantly. And this is when the travel corridor was locked down. So there is a direct effect between what's happening within the political area and what's happening within the industry. And another thing that we are also monitoring is changes in terms of spending within the destination. And we are monitoring completely all the municipalities in Portugal. And for example, one thing that we perfectly found was the interior part of the country and less developed regions didn't have a breakdown in terms of didn't have a break in terms of spending regarding 2019, because all the people was demanding for those kind of experiences. The second point that we are working on, first of all, on sustainability, two things. The first one, which is we've put it in place several protocols and clean and safe stamps all around the country. We have now 22,000 stamps that cover basically hotels and all accommodation sector, short-term rental, recreational services, travel agents, and also restaurants and other parts of the value chain, the tourism value chain, like museums, for example. So it's something that basically we've set up the protocols with the Ministry of Health. We've put them in place. We monitor their implementation. We have an application where the users, the visitors that use those services, provide feedback on that, and based on that data, we have our team that makes the audit of the compliance by all the sector. We're also measuring seasonality rate, because it is a critical objective for us, and we are trying to use basically this crisis also to trying to change the behavior of tourists around the country. We also, in terms of financial and advisory, what we have set up here, and believe me, this is not an easy task to do, which is we monitor weekly the level of investment that not only ourselves, but other financing agencies of the country are putting in the sector. So we monitor by types of businesses and so on. And with one goal here that you find on the right side of this dashboard, which is, we call it the number of jobs that we've saved, because a lot of money that we are putting on the table right now is to maintain jobs. So here is 23,000 jobs that we kept because of these lines of credit that we are putting on the table. And here also at the same time, the measures from the Ministry of Social Security, that means the layoffs that the government is putting on place. The last but not least, learning changed this period. The meeting that we are doing here on live, basically it is the way of learning these days. And what we've put it on the table, and we're doing that, I would say, every week, several times a week, we are setting up webinars about everything that you can imagine. And you can get easily 2,000 people, 3,000 people attending each webinar on how's the situation in the sector, what are the digital skills that people should learn, what's the situation in each one of the markets, connecting with our antennas in the market. So how do I manage online reputation? So thousands of tools that we've put on the table. And what I believe, and this is to end my presentation, is these changes after COVID is over, we are not going back to 8 years before, to 8 months before. So all these things are things that the sector is used to, and the sector will continue to demand. So basically this will mean, I would say, for research teams and for decision-making support teams, a change of the role that they deliver. Okay, so thank you very much. Happy to discuss it.